Hi and welcome. Realizing, looking back at my journey, that it hits us sometimes. It hits us sometimes, and existential crisis happens for almost everybody in all kind of ways. It may be a breakup. It may be a loss of something. It may be a breakthrough in your subconscious mind. Hi, Jaden. What up, bro? It may be anything, guys. And I believe that there is a huge purpose to our existential crisis. This is also called the dark night of the soul. I also want to focus on that. So, looking back at my journey, looking backwards, I realized that, wow, it hit me. It really hit me. But here's the thing. An existential crisis is actually a breakthrough into your soul. An existential crisis is actually a breakthrough in your subconscious mind. So at another level, it is a clearing of your energetic body. Okay, so an existential crisis is actually a clearing. You are actually rediscovering yourself through it. Now, I realize that in my own journey, at some level, that is still happening. And I realize that the only way out is actually inside of myself. Okay? So it's like your life is perfectly okay, then after 2 months, it hits you. It did hit me that way. And I realized that all that big fear that was coming out, all that crisis, all that actually not knowing what was happening during my crisis was actually a huge lesson for me to actually gain self-knowledge and self-control. Okay? Self-knowledge and self-control. So they also talk about the dark night of the soul. Now, you may be going through any type of crisis. I'm not saying that you are going through a dark night of the soul, but I actually want to focus on that. Okay, so it's like when we actually open ourselves to spirituality, when we open ourselves to all kind of beautiful spiritual concepts like third eye, chakras, higher dimensional stuff, ETs, spirit guides. It's like our senses and our perception, our knowledge, our wisdom actually gets open to all kind of higher vibrations, higher knowledge. Okay, so when we open up to these things, it's like our energetic field actually changes. And when our energetic field changes, everything changes around us. Okay, but they say that in the spiritual journey, there is also a time to actually face our demons, our darkness, our shadows. And I want to dive into the fact that this is actually a process of recalibration. So my first suggestion is, while you are in this existential crisis, don't lose your trust. Don't lose your trust. It feels like you may never get out of there. It feels like it's coming into waves, and it hits you and it hits you and it hits you. But don't actually lose your trust, because it wouldn't happen if you wouldn't be able to actually face it. So an existential crisis, actually, there is always a way to light. That is the purpose of it, to actually go into the dark and actually alchemize the darkness in order to actually find the light, which is super powerful, which is super beautiful. Okay, because I realize that I cannot be complete unless I actually accept my darkness. Okay, so the purpose of an existential crisis is to actually show us the scariest parts of ourselves, the parts of ourselves that throughout our life we were not able to actually face and acknowledge. It may be childhood trauma. It may be, in my case, I was really shy. I couldn't actually face that. I still have problems with that. Not that big problems. I'm actually okay regarding that topic. So it's like facing our demons. It's like looking at ourselves honestly. And it looks like while we are in this existential crisis that it's actually all coming out to surface. Okay. So when you go through an energetic shift, it's like your subconscious actually wants to cleanse itself. It wants to cleanse itself. And this is really beautiful. This is really powerful because it opens up. So, an existential crisis actually opens up to a more complete part of ourselves. It opens up to our higher divine being. It opens up to our divine self. Okay, so realize that whatever you go through, and this is actually the second suggestion that I want you to actually, guys, to focus on. Realize that whatever you go through, even if it's painful, even if it's dark, even though it's something that you can't really handle, realize that you can actually do this, and it's actually happening on purpose. Okay, it's actually happening on purpose. So I realized that into today's society, with all the technology, with everybody wanting to impress everybody, we only care about our egos. And in the dark night, in this existential crisis, it's like our ego wants to dissolve. But in order for the ego to actually dissolve, it actually has to re-come back to the surface. Okay, so while you feel like you are in an existential crisis, you actually feel these racing thoughts within your own consciousness. That is the ego that actually wants to dissolve. That is the ego that actually wants to cleanse itself. Okay, and there is nothing wrong with the ego. I actually believe that the ego holds power. The ego does hold power, but when we use it in ways that is not healthy, then it gains power over ourselves. Okay, so the ego is something that must be integrated. Okay, so realize, guys, that whatever you actually go through, that is happening with purpose. It's happening with purpose, and you do have the ability to actually surrender to yourself and realize that it is okay. It is actually okay to experience whatever you are experiencing. That is super powerful. So, the journey may be long. You may stay in dark times and not really know what is going on. But at the higher level, you have actually chosen this journey of this existential crisis, maybe, in order to actually surrender to your pure nature, to your infinite divine self. So it's powerful. It's powerful. The purge, that release of karmic experiences, maybe, of past life experiences, that is all powerful. That is all powerful. And again, you can actually go through this. You can actually go through this and really come back as a new version of yourself. A new version of yourself. So I believe that in this life, we are all faced with lessons. We are all faced with negative events, negative emotions, negative thoughts. And I realized that my work is to actually work with that shadow and actually make people aware that they actually must look inside of themselves in order to find whatever they are looking for. Okay, so if you're finding yourself in a crisis, if you are finding yourself like you are being stuck in life, if you find that you are not content, that is a message from your soul that something is about to change. Okay, so the moment that you actually trust this process, you actually send out the vibration of hope, of trusting, of knowing, okay, So it's not even about believing. Belief is not that powerful as something that you actually know. So know that everything will be okay. Know that everything will be okay and that you are actually coming out as a new version of yourself, more powerful, more strength, more energy, more intuition, more creativity that actually awaits you on the other side. So trust the process, even if it's hard. Even if it's hard. I know it's hard. I know it's so hard. So hard. But trust it. Trust it. Okay? Maybe not everybody goes through what is called the dark night of the soul, but I'm sure that we are all faced with lessons. Okay? So it's like when you are actually doing the purge, when you are actually doing the energetic clearing, it's like there is also another part of yourself that actually comes to surface, and that is your unique side. Okay, so the moment you actually purge these energies, the moment that you purge these energies, you will come back to the surface as a new, better version of yourself. Okay, so trust, realize that it's happening on purpose, and actually ask yourself the biggest question, like, who am I? Who am I, or what am I? What am I? Why am I here? Why am I here? And the answer to the question, who am I, is the fact that I am love. And I'm here to actually help the world expand through this love, through this new awareness, through this new consciousness. And you actually don't have, guys, I promise you don't have to trust or believe a word that I'm actually speaking right now. I'm only sharing my journey, guys. I'm only sharing my journey. This is my own unique spiritual self coming out to the surface and wants to express itself. This is all I'm doing. Okay? It doesn't have to get spiritual. It doesn't have to be about chakras. It doesn't have to be about the third eye. It doesn't have to be about anything. Just do your own thing and realize that my message is an objective one. Take it as you will. You don't have to trust a word that I say, actually. This is just my journey. Okay, so in the process of purging, we are all, and the planet is actually shifting. Okay, there are really high frequencies coming on the planet right now. We as humans are raising our consciousness in all kind of beautiful ways. All you gotta do is stay open to this way of being, to this consciousness that is coming on into the planet. And that is super powerful. Okay, so trust, realize it's happening on purpose, and realize that after a hard moment, there is always grace and beauty and love. I think this is it. An existential crisis is not easy. It's not easy, but it can be really powerful. It can be life-changing, and it can actually shift you at levels that you never thought were possible before. Yeah, this is it. Thank you for watching, and more lives coming up. So yeah, trust the process. Whatever you are passionate about, okay, whatever you are passionate about, mathematics, science, elephants, animals, nature, nutrition, anything, follow that and actually share with us what your passions are. Dare to experience new stuff, new things every single day. Trust the dark. Trust the dark, because that will lead into the light. Much peace, and I love you.